What's up, y'all? It's me, it's your boy Asmongold, and today I'm going to be kind of fulfilling a viewer request, and also at the same time kind of doing the, I guess like the next episode or whatever of like my guild type stuff. As you guys know, I did the how to recruit players or how to evaluate players who are looking to join your guild. And whenever I did that video, a lot of people they liked, I guess, like the methods that I had used, and they wanted to see how I applied those methods and my mindset to other different, I guess, like guild events in terms of recruiting and just other stuff. And today, what we're going to be looking at is, trigger warning. We're going to be looking at how to poach members from other guilds. Okay, so if you guys thought the last video was bad, the last video is going to be like playing like kittens playing with butterflies compared to this one. Like this one is going to make a lot of people mad. Now, I know a lot of you guys might have had somebody stolen from your guild, somebody poached from your guild. Guess what? I have too. This is a two-edged sword, a double-edged sword, not a two-edged sword. Who the fuck says that? Either way, you guys see what I'm saying? Like, if you have this information, if you can use this information the same way I can, you can also prevent these things from happening. And so, keep that in mind while you're watching this video, because it's very important. You know, as I said, you can, almost all information, almost all scams, if you know what a scam is, you can look at how to prevent it. And so anyway, the main thing is like poaching members from other guilds is extremely delicate process. Like it is way harder than like just getting somebody who's not really in a guild. And I mean, obviously, pretty much anybody that you're going to get has been in another guild before. But usually, what you're trying to do here is you're trying to either create or discover the intent or the the decision to leave the guild, or at least like make that happen, or in one way or another. And so the main thing, guys, is you don't want the guild that you're poaching from to know that you're stealing their members. Because, like, all right, yo, guess what? Like, if I find out somebody's like, yo, we're going to try and recruit everybody good out of Indestructible, next raid, I say, hey, guys, I heard something bad about this guild that I know that's trying to recruit them, right? Even if I just made that up in my head 5 minutes beforehand, I'm going to say that because so I can proactively say bad things and muddy the water for these other people, so they're going to be less likely to leave my guild, right? And like, I mean, obviously I think that my guild is awesome, and so I'm not really lying to them. I'm just kind of preserving their well-being on something that may not be entirely true, okay? In other words, I'm lying to them to make sure that they stay in the guild. Let's keep this real, guys. I like to do these videos, real talk, no bullshit. Now, we're going to already assume that you guys know how to evaluate players in terms of their damage and who to look for, right? And so anyway, I am going to talk about this just for a second because maybe some people don't. And so this is going to be like, it's like one paragraph in my notes, okay? So anyway, what we're going to be doing here, obviously, is we're going to be looking at World of Logs, and that's going to be the first thing, and probably the only thing that we're really going to look at, is we're going to look at World of Logs, and you just kind of, and also EP Bot, and you can look at the top 200 players, and so somebody's ranked on your server, you can go find them, and also you can look at your, like wowprogress.com, and you can search on your server, and that's going to show two things. It's going to show item level, like characters ranked by item level, and also by sim DPS, and then you can also sort that by class, and I think also by spec. I don't know if they have that built in yet. Either way, so you can sort by both of those functions, and so that's going to make it a lot easier for you to kind of pick out the cream of the crop. And then what you want to do as soon as you do that is you go to their EP Bot profile and you compare their damage with their gear, and you say, is this acceptable or is it not acceptable? Now the thing is, whenever you pick out somebody to poach out of another guild, recruit out of another guild, what you want to do is you want to look them up on the armory, and there's going to be a lot of things that we're going to be doing here before we even like say a word to them. All right. Now the first thing is you want to make sure you go and you look at their guild thing to roster on battle.net, and if they are like, if they're ranked guild leader, or obviously, and if they're ranked like 1 to 3, probably there's some sort of guild leader, assistant guild leader, officer alt, raid leader, some sort of high level officer rank, and the odds are that those people are already invested in their guild pretty heavily, so the probability of you being able to really get them out of their guild is very low. And also something that will happen there is if you ever try to get somebody else out of their guild, obviously that person will find out that like you're trying to steal members from their guild, because like they don't even know what the fuck's going on. It's like you've got the element of surprise here, and so whenever you pop out of the shadows, you've got to be ready with your daggers, okay? And you can't be coming in there with your scissors like this, because nobody's going to get stabbed like this except for you, right? So you always be prepared. You know, this is going to get you stabbed. And that's what you do whenever you talk to an officer from another guild. So, that it's stupid. You don't do that. Anybody that does that's a fucking idiot. All right. Either way. So, and then what are they going to do? What do you think they're going to do? They're going to say, "Hey, somebody talked to me from this guild. If you want to join this guild, they're all assholes. They all suck. You know, they're falling apart. They're going to say bad things about you to make other people not want to join. But if it's just a member, they're probably going to keep it to themselves." And so anyway, guys, this is another thing, is that you only get one chance at this. It's like raids reset every week, but players don't. All right, and what I mean by that is you have one chance to approach this person, and you've got to get that person to, I guess, like agree with you or like take the next step. And if you fuck that up, the odds are you're not going to get another chance. So I'm going to give you guys kind of an example. All right. Now there are these little cats. Actually, they were little kittens in my backyard. They're born under my deck, and I would always feed them, right? And of course, I would always also try to catch them, but I could never fucking catch them, because if you ever try to catch a cat, they're fast. Okay, that's what I mean, they're fast, right? Everybody knows feline swiftness is a spell in WoW. What does that tell you? Cats are fast, but these are really small. So I got one. And I got this little kitty cat, and I petted him, and I'm like, "You're gonna love me, Stockholm Syndrome kitty cat. I'm gonna love you too." And it was the fluff one, and the fluff one was my favorite. Okay, and I petted it. I was so nice to it. I even fed it little tuna things, but I didn't pet it for long enough. I didn't hold it for long enough, and it ran away. 2 years later, the fluff cat, that's his name, whenever he sees me, not only does he run away, but before he runs away, he starts vibrating. He starts vibrating because of fucking traumatic experience of me petting him. And he just dashes away so fast, like I don't even see him. Like he is so fast. He's a very, very fast cat. Anyway, you know, it's a real shame. I could have given the fluff cat, you know, a good life, but I messed it up because I made that one mistake approaching him, and you only get one shot. Remember, it's like your M&M. It's 8 Mile. You only got one shot. That's all there is to it. Research the guild that you're going to be poaching from. Like, you have to be aware of, I guess, like any sort of problems that they're having. Like, you have to be kind of like a vampire, you know, like searching for that internal struggle that they have that you can capitalize on and take a member while they're not entirely sure about their guild. You know, you only, as I said again, you only get 1 or 2 shots at this, okay? And so you've got to make every single shot you take count as much as possible. Okay, and so you have to look at like what their weaknesses are, what their strengths are, what's good about their guild, what's bad about their guild, what their guild rules are, everything. You got to know more about this guild than the fucking guild leader does. All right, and again, that's also, you can create points of difference that make your guild superior to the person that you're wanting to join your guild's guild. Okay, that was a little complicated, but the other person's guild, right? And so anyway, that's pretty simple. But the thing is, like, there are 2, like, kind of, I guess, like, really cliche things, is that guilds can either be too laid back or too casual, right? Or sorry, too hardcore or too casual. And so anyway, you want to know also about the player. And so, is this player like more of a casual player? Is this player more of a hardcore player? Do they like to do achievements? You know, should you talk to them about achievements? It's like, if I message somebody who has, like, let's say 21,000 achievement points, they're going to be like really happy to talk to me, maybe more than to talk to somebody else from my guild, because they might be aware of the fact that I share a similar interest as they do, and that's another value add that they're getting from talking to me and potentially being in my guild, is that they can work with me to get achievements for themselves and for myself. You know, it's kind of like a combined effort. And so anyway, you want to always make sure that you're aware of that. You know what this person likes to do. Look them up on Armory. What are their feats of strength? How long have they been playing? You know, so you can know what other points to emphasize. You know, it's all about, as I said, because you've only got just this tiny, tiny little bit of time to talk to them. And if you fuck this up, that's it. That's it. You're done. Call it a night, right? Now, the next thing we're going to talk to is we're going to talk about how to actually talk to them, okay? Now, the first thing you want to do is you want to actually, like, just add them to your friends list, I guess you could say. So that way, whenever you can, I don't know, like you can like check your friends list and you see, hey, this guy's online, you know, he's doing this, he's in like, let's say in the Grand Arena. Okay, if he's in the Grand Arena, leave him the fuck alone because he's probably busy, all right? So you don't really want to do that. What I do is I wait until they're not raiding, they're just sitting there in Stormwind, and it'll show if they're away or there or not. And I ask the question, and I say, hey, do you have a minute? Okay? And almost always they're going to say yes. You know, do they not have a minute? Okay, I'll message you later. And if they already can preemptively know that you're going to be asking them about joining their guild, they're going to say no. Well, that was going to happen anyway, right? There's no, I mean, like a lot of people just don't really want to have it happen anyway. As I said before, you can't win them all, but we're at least trying to win some. And anyway, so this also makes them feel like important, like because you're asking them for their time, you're not like just taking it. And so this is a lot about making people feel certain ways. And the reason for that is that you want to make somebody feel better in your guild than they feel in their own guild. Because if they feel better in your guild, they're going to be a hell of a lot more likely to join it. And I don't really like to say it's like, are you happy with your guild? You know, is your guild treating you right? I'm not a fucking therapist, or not yet, I'm not. But anyway, not yet in this video. I don't ever want to be a therapist in real life. Sorry if that confused anybody. What I say is I get right down to the point. I say, listen here. I don't say listen here. I say, hey, I was looking at your logs. You know, you looks like you're a really great player, and you could potentially be a really good fit for this guild and my raiding team. You know, I'd like to talk to you in Mumble and Skype if you have the time, right? And so again, that does not imply that they are interested. That just implies that they have the time to talk to you. Because if you imply and implicate that they are already interested, that will push them back because you're pushing on them. You see what I'm saying? And so it's like you don't want to push on somebody. You want them to just like kind of lean in your direction until they fall on your side of the fence, which is your house, aka your guild. Okay, so that's how it's supposed to be happening. All right, and usually, like guys, this is what's going to happen. People are going to say no, fuck off. That's life, guys. That's life. That's how it goes. On to the next one. But sometimes they say something more than no. And for me, guys, like it's like, if they say something more than fuck off Asmongold, they might as well just be in the guild, right? This is just a G quit and be in the guild. Because if there's any fucking, like, just the slightest bit of, like, I don't know, disgruntledness or unsatisfaction, man, I will hone in on that and get them, you know. Like, that's what you've got to be, like a little sniper, you know, popping off every single wrong thing and making the biggest deal about it and making them focus on that. Like, that's the biggest deal, okay? And that's very important, but I'll get back to kind of what I'm saying is that, guys, I mean, like, it's like in real life. Like, I'm going to tell you about, like, in real life. It's like if you talk to a girl who has a boyfriend and she says, I mean, and if you're trying to get her to cheat on her boyfriend with you, but by the way, guys, that's fucked up. Y'all shouldn't do that. For real? For real? But even like, this is like a hypothetical, right? If she doesn't say fuck off, she's probably more than likely interested, okay? And so that's pretty much what it is. It's like unless you get a definitive no, you're looking real fucking good. It's like if their guild's been having trouble lately, I mean, you got to swoop in there like a fucking vulture and just peck up that prime rib, man. Peck, 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 and that's all you're doing. Be pecking all day long. And if you peck long enough, you're going to get a really, really good applicant, and you're not have to gear them up because they're already in a good guild. This is like a win-win-win. Maybe there might even be more wins than that, right? And so how many wins is that? This is like a new record of a win-win-win-win situation for Asmongold and potentially you. This is very important because this isn't just about me. This is my experiences, yeah, obviously, but this is what I'm hoping that you guys can do after watching this video. Now, if they even make the slightest semblance, as I said, of any sort of dissatisfaction with their guild, you've got to act, you know, act concerned. You know, it's like, I mean, obviously you are concerned. Like, don't even play this off like you're trying to fake it, right? Even if you don't really care, you do have to fake it. But you should fucking care, because if they're having problems, that's good for you. And you want things to be good for you. You want to care about things that are good for you. You know, it's kind of common sense, but either way, you've got to really care and act like you care. This is what I was talking about, playing the therapist. All right, so you got to have them talk about it, get it out in the open, all that other stuff, and that's really important, guys. Like, I mean, if you can get the person talking about like negative stuff about their guild, you're in a really, really, really good spot. Okay, now this is the ideal situation. Okay, is that you get them in the Mumble or Skype. Now, this is actually one of the very few times that it's actually better to use like Vent or like your guild's Ventrilo or Mumble or Raid Call server. And the reason for that is you can pretty much have other people come into the guild, or sorry, come into the discussion that you're having with this person, and kind of influence their opinion in one way or another. And I will talk about that a little bit more. But as a general rule, guys, if you can get them into Skype or Mumble or whatever, you can get them into the guild. All right, this is super, super important. And if you can make that step, you can make that leap, it's all downhill from there, because it's like they're not even going to be doing that if they're not interested to begin with, right? And so this is where it matters, what having them in the Mumble server or not. All right, and what you do is it, so like let's say that this person says my guild is too strict, they take things way too seriously, etc. Okay, what you do is you have a couple of other people in your guild come into the channel, and they sit in on the interview or like the discussion, and they talk, and you make it look like this is a real casual event. It's like you're joining this group of friends rather than you're joining this organization. Switch that shit around. What you do if they're saying that the guild is too lenient is if somebody comes in and they interrupt the interview, you tell them to get the fuck out, right? And what that's going to do is that's going to tell them that this is a structured, strong guild that's going to be very defined, and there's discipline, and all that other stuff. Now, guys, it's really important not to make people think something that's not true. Okay, I hardly ever like to actually lie to people. Okay, and the reason for that is like, all right, let's pretend there's a guy. You're in a real casual, hardcore guild. People show up, people don't. People are playing Pokemon during trash, talking about what their cat did today, okay? And so obviously this isn't really the kind of guild for somebody who's, who's like a retired, like, I don't know, like a army colonel or something like that, right? He wants a very structured guild, like super, I don't know, like very defined, everything, people don't talk during raids, and so if you tell this guy that that's the way it's going to be, and then you have him come into your guild, and guess what? People are talking about cats. He's not going to like that, and he's probably going to leave. And so in the long run, this is a bad decision for you, because now you've got to do the same thing all over again after you just had somebody leave, probably on their own terms. Guys, it's always better to kick somebody out of the guild than have them leave. And the reason for that is, for one, it shows dominance. It shows like authority of the guild. That's kind of stupid, though. Usually that's bad. Sometimes it's good. It depends, right? And so try not to swing your fucking dick around if you're in charge of the guild. That's nobody likes that. Nobody wants to get accidentally slapped in the face with a dick. Most people don't, right? And so anyway, the point here is that you don't want to have to do the same job twice. So it's a very big difference between highlighting an aspect of your guild and misrepresenting your guild. And so if you're in a casual guild, highlight the aspect that you're casual. If that's an aspect that that the person that you're wanting to join finds a positive way, is like positively reacting to, right? Simple, okay? Vice versa with hardcore. Say I don't know, like for us, like a lot of people are from like really high-rated guilds, and so I kind of remind them about that. I say, hey, I'm from this guild. My buddy's from this guild. And guys, it's not about manipulating people. It is about making your guild successful. That should be your end goal. If that's not your end goal, you've got some problems, okay? You want to focus on making your guild successful. If you're not focusing on making your guild successful, your guild is probably not very successful, okay? And so it's super important to always realize and keep that end goal in mind, all right? You always focus on your end goal. Don't be trying to play some kind of Game of Thrones shit with people trying to leave their guild and join your guild, all kinds of other stuff. I'm going to tell you guys in a couple minutes how that fucked me in the ass, all right? And, I don't like that, okay? So either way, this is a big problem for me, and I'm going to tell you guys, like, it is not good, okay? Like, trying to, like, manipulate shit whenever you don't need to is usually not a good idea. All right. Now, guys, like this is like kind of a, I don't know, like a meta. Like we're obviously talking about metagame, right? This is a meta game. All right. And obviously, I mean, you guys know, it's like, as I said before at the beginning of the video, if somebody leaves your guild, right? Somebody leaves your guild, that's devastating. It sucks, especially if he's like friends with everybody. It's just kind of, I don't know, it's a bummer for everybody. And, you know, it's just like, I mean, especially if he was like friends with people, it just really sucks, especially if he was a good player and all that. And so sometimes if very key players quit, you know, it can trigger a chain reaction. And it can actually make a guild fall apart. Usually, that's actually what makes a lot of guilds fall apart, is that a couple of key players quit and they just couldn't really keep up the momentum. You know, they tried to replace the people, and it just went to shit, right? Like I've seen so many guilds have that happen, and I was actually in a guild that made that had that happen. Kinda, that's going to be what I'm talking about in a minute or two, but not really all that much. But pretty much, like, there's going to be guilds that are under you. Usually, you want to treat those guilds like a plant, okay? That's a plant. You water your plants, okay? It's like, let's say you have a not a coconut tree, a pineapple tree, but not, I mean, I know that they're not trees, but a pineapple plant. But it's like, instead of a pineapple, because I think pineapple takes like 2.5 years to be fully ripe and created. Let's say this only takes 6 months, okay, or 3 months, okay, and that's how often you're able to recruit somebody out of this guild, right? Well, whenever you're getting ready and you're gonna get your pineapple, okay, what do? You don't go in there with a fucking sledgehammer and a pickaxe and you just dig that whole fucking plant up and you just grab that pineapple, you take that thing and you slam it on the counter and you cut that thing up and you throw that plant against the wall and you never even think about that again. No, you're very nice, you're careful, and you make sure that you don't hurt the plant, because you just want the fruit, all right? Because if you kill the plant, it stops making fruit. And it's the same thing with these guilds, guys. If you kill feeder guilds, eventually you're going to get hungry again, and what are you going to eat? It's very important for those feeder guilds to keep churning out high-level applicants who are going to want to be in a better guild. Who are they going to see? You, right? Simple. Anyway, guys, I'm going to kind of tell you guys a story about me back in the day. This is about Old War, early TOC days, and I was like, I mean, I'm kind of not really like very ruthless like with like recruiting people now. I just kind of, it happens and great, and sometimes I have to kind of make it happen, but almost always it just kind of ends up going fine, right? But back in the day, man, like I was the biggest motherfucker. Like I would actually make a point to destroy guilds. I would make a point to, you know, capitalize on internal conflict and just make shit go as badly as possible. And if anybody remembers, guys, by the way, Thrall server, I was on that server. Late Old War, I was in Driven then, and then that fell apart, and that's when I made my own guild. And so that's what's going to happen. That's what I'm going to tell you guys about with the feeder guilds. That's going to be an example, because like, a lot of people might not really understand this. And so since it's like very metagame, very conceptual, you know, I do have an example for this, because it's very important to understand this. Is very important. We have a couple guilds under us right now who basically function as feeder guilds. It's fucking great, right? We get people from them all the time, great players. A lot of them are from, a lot of people in our raid right now are from that guild, who have like come up through that guild into us, right? And so anyway, like, this was the Thrall server, and so I had about, I'd say like 5 or 6 like pretty decent raiding guilds. Like I would say right now, like let's say they killed Heroic Garrosh two months ago, right? And so yeah, they kind of suck, but they're all right. And Thrall was always like kind of a horde populated server, but there was a pretty big alliance population there at that point, because like there were a couple of like very good guilds. Like there was, my guild was there, Overdose, and then Illusion was there, and like a couple of other guilds also. And so anyway, there was a pretty large, I guess, like alliance population of players there. And so what I did is that eventually I kind of wanted to make my own guild, because Driven fell apart. And so the first thing that I did is I made friends, and I had friends who were in a couple of other guilds. And what I did is, who were officers, and as soon as I made my guild, they all left their guild, and they pretty much collapsed 2 guilds overnight, right? Because it's like, if you lose half of your leadership core and a couple of other key players, like there's no way you're going to be able to recover from that. So we pretty much killed 2 guilds overnight, no problem. And so we were doing a 25-man raid, like the first day that we even made the guild, right? And I didn't even know who half these people were. They just popped up and showed up, right? It was awesome, okay? Anyway, so then the next thing that we did, obviously, is we started recruiting all of our friends out of other guilds. You know, as I said, to get like a really solid team, it took about 4 or 5 days. You know, we cleared Oldawar, did TOC. I think we got some server first kills for TOC. I don't quite remember. And like, of course, that got us a lot of attention. You know, officers kind of had like the same ideas as I did, because obviously I recruited them. You know, I was looking for people who thought like I did and all that other stuff. And so we were pretty much like looking for all kinds of people who were unsatisfied with their guilds, and, you know, pretty much whatever we could do to get people out of other guilds and get rid of all of the other guilds, as many of them as possible, so anybody who wanted to raid on this server had to raid with us, right? And this was an amazing short-term plan. This was fucking awesome, all right? Like, what we would do, we had this really good strategy, is like we would recruit some players out of a guild, any players that we could, even if we didn't really want them, we didn't really have a raid spot for them, we'd recruit them out of the guild, okay? Then the guild would fall apart because they'd lose so many people. And then the people who we actually wanted to come would have to come join our guild, basically, because there'd be no other places for them to raid. And so we'd get what we wanted. We'd recruit the people that we wanted to without actually even needing to talk to them. So it was really simple, because they didn't want to join our guild to begin with. They're like, oh, we're not going to join this guild unless this one falls apart. Hey, look at that. Your guild fell apart. What's up? You know, /G invite whoever the fuck you are. And so it was a really great idea. I thought it was, until like pretty much what happened is that about like, I'd say like a month into 2 or 3 months into TOC, not really 2 or 3 months, like maybe a month into TOC, we kind of like, we had like 100 people online, and like everything was going really well, and things just kind of started to slow down, and we needed to recruit more people. But the problem is we didn't have any other guilds to recruit from, because the only other guild on the server was like a pretty tight-knit guild. They didn't really recruit people. Like, they had been raiding together since like vanilla, and so we weren't hardly even thinking about even trying to break that guild up to begin with. Like, I think we had a couple people who wanted to join, maybe, but honestly, most of those people, like, it just wasn't really going to happen. They're probably just being nice, so we would leave them alone, or not stop pestering them and being mean. But either way, so we were pretty much having, you know, a pretty good time. You know, like, we had all this other stuff. It was fun kind of doing, like, I mean, because, like, you know, I thought I was, you know, like fucking Tywin Lannister, and wow, right? I'm, like, breaking down these guilds. I've got this huge-ass guild. Everybody is under me. You know, my guild rank as the guild leader, the old cock and balls, okay? And so I was having a good time. I mean, I was having a real good time. But the problem is that things just kind of were going downhill, and we couldn't stop the momentum because we couldn't get any new players. Like, this was before, like, server transfers and all that were a real thing. Like, yes, of course they were a real thing, but people weren't used to, like, I guess, like, cross-server recruiting at that point, or at least not at the guild level that we were at, because we were not really a top-level guild. We were a good guild, but we were not really a top-level guild. And so the amount of people who rated as much as we did, and then also were willing to server transfer, you know, Venn diagram, those two circles hardly ever intersect. And so, about, I'd say, like, well, what happened, like, before I say really, like, how this ended up, is what happened is that we had kind of, like, we had to replace the people with, like, kind of mediocre players, and then some of the older players who were very good, like, just kind of quit because, you know, the guild's just not really what I thought it was going to be. You know, things were going really well at the start, but now, you know, we're wiping on, I don't know, some stupid boss, and so this was really kind of an issue. And so we were kind of going downhill for 2 weeks, and then after about, as I said, 2 weeks of trying to salvage things, I logged on, and my co-GM, my boy Rob, ninja'd half our guild bank, right? Okay, and he's transferring to kill Jaden to raid with, I think, Avant-Garde. I don't remember, okay? Of course, that was my boy, so guess who the other half of the guild bank was for? You already know. And so I took the other half, and we went over to kill Jaden, okay? And if we had not broken up the guild at that point, we could have probably transferred over to Kel'Thuzad with maybe over 150 people if we had kept everybody together. But we just couldn't do it because, I mean, honestly, like, the recruiting thing was only one issue. There were other issues, but not being able to find acceptable applicants was a huge problem. It was a huge problem, And the reason that problem happened is we caused it by killing all of the other guilds. Okay, it was a huge mistake for us, and if we had not done that, as I said, we probably could have transferred. I could still be in that guild today. I don't know, but it was just really kind of shitty. And so that's kind of like my example, because I've never really heard anybody say this before ever. And so I want to talk about this like more than I usually talk about most subjects. Don't kill your golden gooses. Okay, don't kill your golden gooses, because you want eggs. You're not trying to kill the goose. You're trying to get the eggs. Again, this is what I was saying earlier about eye on the mission. Okay, not trying to think, as I said before, playing game of guilds. Don't waste your time, because that's what it is. So I do have one last thing to talk about, because this is kind of like another thing that I kind of thought of like about halfway through this, and I do want to talk about this real quick. Whenever you're going to get somebody in the guild, you have to make them think in their head that they're going to be in the guild. It's like if you're going to go up and talk to the manager at Target about getting a job application or about getting a job there, he might respond to you a little bit better if you're wearing a red t-shirt and white khakis, right? Because it puts in his mind that you're already a potential, I guess like you're not even potential, you're already an employee there. And so it's like you can use that brain magic to your advantage, okay? And so it's the same thing here, guys, where if you can get somebody into like a flex raid or something like that with your guild to say, hey, why don't you just come do a raid with the guild, see how it is, see how you like it, and then we'll go from there, right? No pressure. Then you get everybody in the guild, and everybody's in mumble, having a good time, trying to have anybody get pissed off, just try and make things as chill as possible, and make sure to tell everybody, kind of keep the bullshit on DL. But, I mean, sometimes it happens, but usually it doesn't. Anyway, so that's going to kind of give this guy a really good opinion about your guild, right? Because I'm sweating. Jesus Christ. Sorry about that. Anyway, I'm not nervous. It's just hot. It's going to give this guy a really good impression about your guild, because like everybody's in there having fun. They're happy, It's like, who doesn't want to be in a guild where everybody likes to have fun, joke around, and be happy? I mean, I guess there's some people, but unless you're trying to recruit the Grinch, you probably got a pretty good chance at, having a good time at Flex Raid, helping that guy out trying to join your guild. It's going to help that guy out, in terms of making a decision on how to join your guild. This is actually something I just thought of. Sometimes people don't want to fill out an application. If someone doesn't want to fill out an application, 9 times out of 10, I say that you're not going to come in the guild unless you're going to fill out an application. And the reason for that, even though that's a barrier to entry and it makes it harder for them to join, is that if the first thing that they do in terms of their membership with this guild is get special treatment, what do you think that they're going to expect the second thing is going to happen with them in terms of that guild? It's probably going to be special treatment. And you don't want to make a habit of that, because then that's going to make everybody else mad. All right. And so anyway, these are kind of like just my ideas on how to poach members out of guilds. Again, I guess we'll kind of go over some of the things that I talked about. You've always got to make sure that you do not try and recruit officers out of guilds, because that's going to be it can create other problems that you might not have to begin with. Another thing, make sure that you always do your research on both the guild and the player. What does the player like to do, so you can advertise and as I said, bring those up as points of difference, that like, this is what my guild does, I see that you like to do this, we like to do this too, and so you're already sharing a common interest. And also another thing is that you want to make sure that you definitely know what's going on with the guild, okay? Because if you don't really know what's going on with the guild, then there can be all kinds of other problems where the guild can be doing fine, or you can just wait a little while and maybe the guild isn't going to be doing fine. It's like some bosses, like let's say Paragons, right? Paragons brings out the retard in every guild, okay? And not like just that, oh, there's somebody who's shitty in the guild, right? No, I mean like everybody has gotten hit by something on Paragons, right? It's happened. Don't deny it. Get real. Even if you lagged out, you still end up dead, okay? And so there's a high frustration, and like the chances of somebody wanting to leave their guild at that point are going to be very, very high, because they think that their guild isn't going to progress, because of whatever reasons, because the Paragon's really hard. They think that nobody's learning, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's a very good time, just like, as I said, be ready to strike, like a vulture. Peck, 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 okay? Remember that, guys. Like, whenever you're talking to an applicant, Just be thinking that in your head. Peck, 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 peck. Okay? Typing on your keyboard, pecking your keys. Like if you're like an old person, you know, doing like this, one or two keys at a time, pecking your keys. Maybe you should actually do that to get in the mindset. That's a little bit too meta. I mean, y'all don't actually want to be a bird. You don't want to be a bird. Either way, that's another focus. Another thing, as I said before, make sure that you keep the focus on the applicant and what the applicant wants, or not applicant, potential applicant, hopefully applicant, and you know, keep the focus on them. Try and get them in a voice chat. If you can get them in a voice chat, you've probably got a pretty good chance of getting them in your guild. And I think I covered one other thing, but I don't remember what it was. And also the feeder guild thing. Do not kill feeder guilds because, as I said before, whenever you get hungry again, what are you going to eat? And so, oh, and then the flex raid thing. Make sure that you can try and get someone into the flex raid, get them in the habit of raiding in a guild, in the mindset of being in your guild, right? Simple, common sense stuff. And I try to do these videos, and I try to give you guys real advice. Everybody's going to say, make sure that your guild is better. Everybody's going to say, you know, make sure that, I don't know, like, make sure that you have something good to offer the applicant. But you really, I mean, there's a lot more to that. It's like if anybody could just watch a 30-second, a 3-minute YouTube video and be good at this, why aren't there more blood legions? You know, why aren't there more you know, like guilds with a higher concentration of good players? And so you've always got to think of that, guys. There's a lot more to this, and honestly, I could probably do another hour video about this if I had a lot more time to kind of write out like more notes and, you know, everything like that. But I think that this is a really good start. And so if you guys have any other things, any other like requests of things that are similar to this, I might do one about how to resolve conflicts within the guild. I might do one about how to get rid of problem players within guilds, things like that, or things that are a little bit more meta than that, or just different that I haven't thought of. You can ask me, and I might make a video about it if I think that I have enough information and knowledge to do that. If I don't know, I won't make a video about it, okay? I'm not going to waste y'all's time being stupid on camera for how long is this video? 36 minutes. I'm going to be stupid on camera for 36 minutes? I don't think so. Actually, probably there are a lot of people who think that that's exactly what's happening right now, but hopefully a lot of you guys don't. Either way, I hope that you guys enjoyed. I hope that you learned something. And if you have any other questions related to this, go ahead and ask me in the comments. Let me know. You know, if you think I'm a complete fucking douchebag, you can let me know that too. Like, that's fine. My eyes are watering. It's kind of late at night. But either way, I'm going to cut this video out, so I'm going to go to sleep. Thank you for watching, and like, comment, subscribe.